What up, world, and welcome to another episode of Black Nerd Fridays. I'm your host, Neal, and I got my day one with me, as always, Mr. Refine himself, Black Bearded Nerd. What up with you?
Chilling, bro. It's Friday. I'm happy to be here. It's been a little minute since we've been on, so I'm good, man. Ready to get into this as usual. How about you?
Oh man, I can't complain, man. Another beautiful day in paradise. Every day you wake up, you know what I mean? Because when you don't wake up, you ain't got to worry about it.
That's a
So
fact.
keep keeping it moving as we usually do. Shout out to Suds. Suds holding us down. Definitely got to hit you up on this Canva life because I definitely did something wrong. But anyway, we're gonna go into what we normally do, as we always do. Man, what you drinking on, Mr. Refine? The floor is yours.
Homebrew pale ale right here. You feel me? This is
Okay, I
my
see
joint.
you.
You know what I'm saying? 4.5%, very light, hoppy, crispy as hell. So something easy drinking that I'm definitely drinking on right now. And I got something for later on for our next one we do. So just taking
Yeah.
it easy, man.
Got you, man. I'm gonna save yours. You know what I mean? Because I got your stout. Then I'm gonna open up on that joint.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna what I'm gonna hold it down. What I'm gonna hold it down with Oak Park Brewing Company. Shout out to the team. You know what I mean? Raj, Jeff, Becca, Brittany. What up? And this is called the Dowie Brown. A little play on where's Waldo and where's Dory or where's Finding Nemo. And yeah, this is just a brown ale. I want to try it out. This Centennial and Magnum hops. I got that wrong. 5.8%. So we're gonna pull up and get that started. I'll get it going. But man, we're gonna do as we normally do. What was your good, bad, and ugly about Uncle from Another World? Which I didn't even mention we were reviewing. Uncle from
Exactly.
Another World, episodes 2 through 4.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead with it. My good would be the usual, right? The animation on there is funny as hell, man. This dude's still just like mentally stuck in the '90s on this Sega
Facts.
aspect, just all of that stuff in there. Um, I'm really enjoying that relationship that's forming between, which I don't know if he actually has a name yet, but him and Takafumi, which is the nephew. I'm
Mhm.
loving that relationship that's forming there as far as him keeping him up to date on the YouTube stuff, keeping him up to date on what's popular on just social media in the world. Um, and my bad would be just watching them kind of keep going back to these memories pretty much where he's like talking about the elf girl, and I can't remember her name, but I believe that's the one who follows him around who's like, "Oh, you're indebted to me."
Mhm.
That's a beautiful pour, by the way. And
Thank you, man.
that's kind of my bad with that aspect. But the ugly is, and I'm gonna try not to get too deep on it because you might have a question about it. But his lack of, I'm gonna say, respect for the fact that the woman was what caused him to be able to get those extra views. Which,
Mm.
if you're smart, then you know that um, on YouTube, if you have a fairly attractive woman, or even any social media platform, you have a fairly attractive woman, she will be able to pull in people, especially if she's nerdy. For whatever reason, men just like that aspect. And him being stuck again in the '90s, he's thinking that women don't have that aspect or have that power ability to be able to draw in a crowd. And if you pay attention to a lot of social media, women is what drive a lot of the stuff. So he got to get up to date on that. And it was kind of ugly that he didn't understand that aspect. So that's pretty much my good, bad, and ugly all summed up. Cheers,
Man,
bro.
my good cheer. Oh yeah, cheers, man. Look at me. I'm drinking without cheers. My good man is the show. Okay. This is It's very dry humor, and if you haven't watched Isekai, then you're not going to understand how they play on a lot of the tropes in Isekai. And I love the fact that Unk is still called Orc Face, and I really enjoy actually watching the replay of his time and Gouda, whatever, start with a G. I forgot that name.
Yeah.
But it was man, it's hilarious. I think he's still a nerdy kid at heart, even though he's 35. And it's just crazy. I mean, it's good because in most isekais you'll be like, oh, I went through some stuff and I learned things, but no, Unc literally went to another world and literally just kept being isolated and closed by with himself, but then also because people kept thinking he was a damn orc, and so they were always trying to kill him every time. So it just feeded into where he was already at as a teenager or preteen, and then just taking it up to there. Um, the bad for me is that I really want to figure out, will the other world ever collide with the current world? And what I mean by that is
Mm.
is it will the memories be to a point where maybe they come out of the memory, excuse me, maybe it's something where something followed them, because okay, daddy will take care of it in a second. Some follow them, or yes, I know. Okay. Shh, daddy's on the thing. Excuse me, audience. But
There are co-hosts right there.
yeah, the co-host is taking over for real, for real. Here you go. Take that here. No, right here. But and then, so I just want, that's my bad. I just wanted to kind of move a little forward to see if we're even going to have any type of isekai action the way we do used to seeing, or if not, then just make something where he has an interaction with like a bully from a long time ago or something of that nature, where that person still talks down to him even though he's 35 and has all these powers, and has to either do one or two things, like either be the adult about it, or still have that kid aspect where he wants to punch the dude in the face for bullying him, or the girl, whoever it is, you know. And then the ugly, man, it's just the way that the elf girl's being treated, man. To tsundere is what Takafumi calls her. So I'm just looking to see what goes on with that. Maybe she changes up, but she's a diehard though. You know,
Yeah.
it's everything. So
It's funny, before you go forward, it's funny that you mentioned that, like you hoping for them to collide, specifically like bully um sort of aspect. I'm when you think about that, I think of Back to the Future.
mm,
And you had Biff and Marty. Biff,
exactly,
they grown men at this point. Biff's still trying to come down on Marty like they're, kids and stuff. You're like, no, we grown men now. So I think
exactly.
that's an interesting aspect there.
Man, that is key, man. I'm glad you connected that. That's what I'm talking about. That blurred life, man. That blurred life, nerd life, man. So let's jump into it. Oh, I didn't put this on the thing. Let me hide that. Look at me messed up already. Let's do episode 2. We're gonna talk about Unk and Mabel of the Ice Clan, Takafumi and Fujimiya. What is your take on episode 2?
There's a lot going on in episode 2, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't remember everything because I watched this in a fast pace. I will say this: the Ice Clan thing, whatever you want to consider
Yeah,
that.
Mabel. Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting for a lot of different reasons, but mainly the usual, watching Unk interact with these people
Mm,
during this time frame, because he is who he is from our world, but now he's in this world considered to be something else, but he also has powers and abilities that are above all the rest of the people who still consider him an orc. He still
mm,
has these powers and these abilities, which are pretty dope. The relationship that he formed in these short time frames is interesting, specifically, obviously, with the elf girl Tsundere, whatever her name is. But just watching that interaction between Unk and the people that were involved during that time, that's what I really like about that.
yeah, man. I gotta say, episode 2 was it's always hilarious, but again, it definitely has dry humor. But with Mabel, the Ice Queen, and spoiler alerts, so I might as well get them ready. Okay, Daddy, he'll
Hmm.
talk lower. He'll talk lower. I'm sorry. Look at me. See, my co-host, she runs my life team, runs my life. Anyway, spoiler alerts. If I can find this thing, where I put it at? There it goes. Spoiler alert. You're gonna just keep that up heavy. Yeah, man, with Mabel, like, to be this isolated person, the only one left in her clan. She has this sword that you need to use to kill the flame dragon, which which Unk don't even need. He sees her wallowing in her own self-pity, or crying, saying she's useless, or not really crying, but just saying she doesn't know what to do with life, or she has to be different. And he just goes out there and goes slays that dragon with just multiple
Just
multiple
like that.
things. Yeah, I know, just like that. All right, let's go, PB. But anyway, I'll let you go with mommy. Mommy said go upstairs. Go. Real life out here, man. Shout out to Nerd Soul. He understand the feeling.
Oh, he knows. He
um,
definitely
but
knows.
no, with Mabel, I like that interaction was crazy at the end, because it was like he was like Unc was saying, just dive deeper into the thing that people don't like about you. And it was like, I was like, this is crazy because it was so funny. He was so obsessed with Sega even then, and he was just kept talking about it. And Mabel just took that like, so I can be this recluse. I cannot show this aspect of a different aspect of myself or grow. And he was like, you ain't got to do that. And
Mhm.
and she was like, do you want the sword? And he was like, no, I'm good. And then the sword just got more ice. And she even felt bad because she was like, oh, he gave me a different perspective than what everybody else said and let me just continue being me and wallow in my self-pity. But then on top of that, he wouldn't take my sword. So now I'm a little upset. And I'm just like, this man Unk is a beast. And then with Takafumi and Fujimiya, like that is just hilarious interaction. Like Fujimiya definitely has a perception of her relationship with Takafumi as kids that we get to learn about in episode 3 that is not the reality
That's what I'm waiting
that
to get
she
to.
thought. And it's hilarious because she really is giving this man all the signs. And I don't even think in
Mhm.
this episode, I'll talk about it in the next episode review in a second. But like, yeah, she is Takafumi only sees her as a friend, and will understand why episode 3. So
Well, let's
um,
let's go back too before we go forward with
yeah,
that.
go ahead.
Thinking about like episode 2 when you're talking about this whole relationship between Unk and Mabel, she was like kind of turned on by him because he was like, hey, be yourself,
Right.
be this recluse, be kind of like withdrawn pretty much, and people gonna love you or respect you either way. She was turned on. You seen like the cheeks get like a little
Yep.
more
Yep.
pink and stuff like that. And she, at his humbleness and his indifference to how he handled the that flame drag, whenever, that right there really really got her. So I thought that was funny just watching those two. That's why I said that whole interaction between them two. And it's as if, again, we know him as 35 years old in the
Mhm.
current time,
Yeah.
but back then he's probably still mentally 17, and even in his current world as well. But back then, where he was with Mabel, he's still probably 17, 18 years old in his mind. So
Mhm.
he's acting accordingly as if he's still a young man or a young teen, doing
Yeah.
certain things, not knowing how to deal with the women, not knowing how to deal with that relationship, to be able to read between the lines and say, hey, she's attracted to me, etc. So I thought that was funny as hell. I thought
Yeah,
that was
man.
real funny as
No,
hell.
no. He Unk that, and I think that's what the hilarious part about it is Unk is still, and this what he wasn't 17 when he got zapped into the other world. I think he was about anywhere between 12 to 13 or 12 to 15.
Yeah,
Excuse me, like 10 to 15, 10 to 13, excuse me, because I think he was maybe like
he's in a
Sega.
coma for 17 years.
Oh, it says 17 years. Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm
he was
wrong.
in a coma for 17 years. So I give
And he's
him,
35. Yes, yep, you
yeah,
got
I
the
give
math
him
better than me.
17 years old.
Yeah, so there you go. Well, he winning. Let's go on to episode 3, man, because episode 3 is the thing to do. Come on, episode 3, Unk's YouTube channel, Fujimiya's quest for love, and Takafumi about that bag. Come on, man, he about that bag. What do you think about episode 3?
This was one of my favorites, straight up. First off, and again, keep that spoiler alert up there. Takafumi, his for Unk showed Takafumi's memories. He was able to
Mm,
use that magic and show what
yes,
he's seen back when he was younger. So you're watching that aspect again of bullying and the person getting bullied. And you see Fujimaya, and you're thinking that's a man. He's like, Mr. Fujimaya, yo, the drawing, the facial expression on this woman or child, which we perceive to be a man based upon how Takafumi seen her, was
yes,
funny as hell.
yes.
I mean, old looking, like
The
these
teeth is all out like, "Ooh,
yeah,
Takafumi,
yo,
Takafumi."
and
Like, I mean, dying.
she's sitting there pretty much, beating him up and just doing a bunch of different stuff to him. And it kind of explains why he is how he is later on with her, where
Mm,
he's looking at her as a friend, but he is attracted to her. But I think they should have focused more just on that relationship, just on those past memories of him and her,
yeah,
specifically with the bullying aspect, because
bro.
she was on his neck, man, 24/7, 24/7. She even picked up some dog poop or something, like, here, eat this. And he's just stressed out about it. And his uncle's watching and like, oh, but then Fujimaya's also looking at him and saying, wait a minute, I didn't know you perceived me that way. I didn't know you perceived me as Sir Fujimiya. I thought
Yes.
she just perceived me as just a girl who was kind of rough and tomboyish. And watching that development with her, and she's like, "Well, now I'm in middle school, and I kind of changed up a little bit. I'm not the same child from elementary where I was beating up the boys and being tough and stuff." And it's that whole just dynamic I think was hilarious, and the process of Takafumi kind of, I'm going to say, guiding his uncle, because he came back in the house and his uncle was faking to be a woman, which we seen. He was faking to be what's her name, Sundari, whatever.
The elf girl
He
or
was
elf
faking
woman.
her. And I didn't know he had that ability. We just found
Come
out
on,
he
bro.
had the ability to transform into that, which was dope as hell. But that, like I said before, that boosted up his views on YouTube, because the guy's like, "Oh my gosh, she's cute. She's playing Sega Saturn and all this stuff." So now you have Takafumi saying, "Hey, listen, don't be worried about the fact that you're pretending to be a woman and getting these views. Use that to get to this bag, or use that to get to this money, because that's what we need." So Unc was bothered by it. He's like, "Nah, I don't want to do that. I can't be myself, and so I can't be myself, so I don't really have true support and stuff like that." Just everything involved in this episode, it was critical, it was funny, it all tied in together, but it also explained why things are the way they are at the current time. So I enjoyed the episode the most. Just me.
Man, Fujimiya, shout out to her. She was literally through this man the sexton text, you know what I mean? Nothing too crazy. Got the blouse open, you
Yeah,
know, and he just deleted it. He
yeah,
deleted Takafumi, deleted it. And she was like, "What?" He was like, "No, I can't look at you that way. Like, you the homie." Like, and it was like it's hilarious with that, because Fujimiya's, even when you saw the picture that she had when they were in elementary school slash middle school, she was taller than him at
hmm
that time, but she didn't look nothing like what Takafumi saw her as. And that was crazy. She looked just like a younger version of what she does now as an adult. And I'm just like, bro, this is killing me, because she really was like, yo, like she even was like, had this daydream of like her elementary childhood memory where they were kind of like tagging each other and laughing and holding each other, like they were like so in like just childhood love, child love. And it was nothing like that. Like he really was like, no, that's Takafumi. Takafumi was like, that's Fujimiya, that's my hero. So you stopped all the bullies, even though she bullied them. And then especially when they was looking at comics and everything like that, he was like, oh, let's look at the boobies. You know, that was hilarious. So shout out to Fujimiya. She was killing the game. Takafumi, like Unc and Takafumi, like you said, the relationship is great. It's a beautiful thing, because he's like, yo, my uncle really, I thought he was crazy. Now this man has all these powers. But Unc already did Fujimiya, and I didn't even talk about that in episode 2, where she came in the door and he thought she was she was an intruder, and like got on top of her and was about to erase her memory. But from Fujimiya's
yeah.
standpoint, it was like, whoa, this is about to be an assault. And Takafumi just coming with that drop kick, bro. That drop kick was crazy. And it just was crazy how Uncle was like, oh, okay. And then even he read her mind and said all the things about how she felt about Takafumi. And Takafumi was just like, nah, that's not accurate. It was crazy, man. So
He's blocking it out. It's
oh
just,
yeah.
it's like, he's, what is he, 21, 22?
Yeah,
Because he
something
just
like
turned,
that.
matter of fact, I'm gonna say they're both 20, because they're just now drinking alcohol in episode 4.
Mm,
But actually episode 3, sorry.
mm,
He is sitting there acting as if, that they're still friends, but she actually has an attraction to him.
mm.
And I believe that he's starting to gain it, specifically after the shower scene.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
I think he's starting to get there, because when she played it in her mind when he was walking out and he has his mouth covered, his eyes show that, yeah, my mouth is covered, but I actually like what I see, because he was getting red in his cheeks. He was blushing a little bit. So he's starting to gain some of that love and attraction, or that attraction to her, as opposed to seeing her as just a friend slash bully.
Yeah. And
So
and definitely had the aspect with the elf with Tsundere, as
yeah,
Takafumi calls the elf woman, even though that's not we don't know her real name. Like just that interaction, like Takafumi is like, "Come on, Unc, like your harem is growing, you know, like let's get it going." But even with Fujimiya, like you said, with her and Takafumi, just that relationship as far as like how you want to see it explore more. Literally, Fujimiya literally tried to pull her hand out for Takafumi, and he was like, "Nah, you got to erase this memory, because I saw my friend in my T-shirt, and I got to see her. No, it wasn't like he saw some action. He just saw her in a T-shirt after she got out of the
But she
shower, and it
had
was
his shirt on. That's
yeah,
a
I know
difference. And you know
exactly.
what
And
that
so
relates to.
he was like, oh, okay, because she thought it was just a shirt that they got for. But man, episode 2 is crazy. Um, and Takafumi, like I said, I love how you use that aspect. Because shout out to all the female gamers out there. Shout out to all the female cosplay artists and all that. Because I'm just keeping 100. I don't care what nobody say. Even before this patriarchy or whatever you want to call it, like the female body anatomy is God. You know what I mean? Like let's just keep it 100. Like it is. It's the temple, man. And it was like anytime and it was a whole bunch of fan service on that episode. Like it wasn't over, and that's what I like about this show. It's not overly saturated with fan service, but you do get it. But it's in a way where it's comedy, but it doesn't overstep the bounds like the show I want to look at, Bastard, where it's just like, oh, this is about to be some straight heavy metal s type
Yeah.
of titties out, like all that crazy stuff is about to be going down, and this is always keeping it subtle, man. So I had to shout out episode 3. Love how Takafumi was like, no, you're gonna get all these views. And the last thing I'm gonna say is when Unc said, oh, y'all all the same, because he said that about Guardian Heroes too, which I didn't get into about when Takafumi bought him the Sega Saturn and Guardian Heroes. He was like, "Oh man, y'all just the same," because he's still in that kid mindset of like it's all about video games and like girls are like weird or I don't understand them, and for him to be like, "Oh, you used me to get that fan service that I hated." When everybody was getting older and getting girlfriends and stuff like that, and I wasn't, and I hated that because we was losing our friendship, kind of like Will from damn Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
It just was crazy, man. It was good
You
time.
know what else is funny too? Thinking about how Takafumi was pushing them the narrative of the not the narrative but the motive of getting the money. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry about being a female, just get this money. Like, let's get this money. Period. He like, hey, we shot it. We got all these subscribers now because remember Uncle's losing them based
Oh
upon
yeah, we got to
not
talk about
knowing
that
how
for
to
a little
have
bit.
that YouTube etiquette and how to deal with criticism, etc.
Mm.
Constructive criticism as well. So now he's like, all right, well, you're playing Sundari, and you're being this woman, but you're getting views, people are liking it, and you see the comments in there, cute and all that sort of stuff in there. So he like, yo, we got this many subscribers, we about to get paid. And at the end of the episode, you see them with I think it's a sashimi plate, which is a special type of sushi setup. They had that, and they all eat, and they're around celebrating, and the uncle is just like, I'm sitting there compromising myself, man. I don't want to do this. I really don't feel like going through these motions, but I got to do it because it's getting money and it's helping me with my quote unquote
That's
job,
right,
which
man.
is how Takafumi viewed it.
And can we talk about how before we get off of this, how Fujimiya was like, YouTube isn't a real job, and I'm just like, dang, it's crazy how they hit on the aspect of this thing of a content creator. Like anybody that's doing a podcast, like right now, you always are at a level, even where we're at, where you're attempting to find your niche, or you find your niche, but you're just like, oh, it's not happening. For some other people, it does. But Unc's niche was like he was doing all these what they thought were special effects. But YouTube literally they talked about, and this is real life stuff though. They literally talked about how YouTube was like, if you don't have 1,000 viewers at that time or whatever, that they were just going to demonetize you, which was crazy because even though he didn't have 1,000 subscribers, excuse me, not viewers, even though he didn't have 1,000 subscribers, he had thousands of views, and so that was like it was crazy in that regard as they talked about that, because the thing is, it almost shows that duality of you're gonna do something like changing into the elf woman or elf girl and literally playing the games the same way he would play them anyway. It's just that it was in a female body, so it didn't seem weird. It seemed like you said a guy saw that as cute, and even other females saw that as something that either they like I could do that, or they found that attractive as well. But if you put Unk back in his real his real body, and he was doing that, they would have been like, what the hell are you doing? Like, that's super just super weird, and people would be very turned off with it because like a male shouldn't act like that. And it just showed me that craziness of that duality that you have of like content creating. Like you want to create, but you also need, what do the fans like? But then how do you find that balance for yourself so that you don't just become what the fans are, but then you get the bag and you like, I'm living that life. So you gotta, you continuously just back and forth of like, if I don't eat, then none of this, no matter what I do, don't matter. But then if I play into what the fans want too much, then I just literally lose what it is that is me. And I think that even though they subtly talked about, well, they actually overtly talked about it, but it was definitely subtle the way that they dealt with that transition in regards to the layout of him going from a gamer as a male, where people were like, man, just stick to your stick to your 3D. I mean, stick to your special effects versus what you're doing now. So
I think one last thing before we move forward.
Yeah.
Two things I should say. Number one, the whole situation as far as like, let's say let's put us in this regard.
Mm-hmm.
We can have one episode where we'll have 10 views, and the next one, depending on the topic, the show we're talking about, etc., you might have 1,000, and that's not necessarily us doing anything different. That's based upon what it is we're talking about, etc., and we haven't been picked up in that algorithm for whatever reason. It hasn't happened. I'm not really sweating about it because of my own thing. I do something similar. If we do what we do all the time, as me and you talk about it, everything else falls into place with that. I don't care if it takes 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it falls into place as long as you don't compromise yourself. Because worst thing to do is be like the uncle. You get money now and you're like, damn, I'm sitting here regretting what I had to do, because in his mind, he's compromising himself to gain that. So that's not even a concern. But it does happen where you eventually fall into the algorithm. Number two, there is a YouTube personality who's also on Last of Us as Dina. They modeled her after her. And she's actually cute. I watch her from time to time play video games. I watched her play Last of Us. May have watched like 20 minutes here and there. So she's playing, as Ellie. And she's also getting to parts where her character is in there. And she has a bunch of subscribers, a bunch of views, but it adds into that point I'm saying earlier. If you're cute and you're playing video games, guys want to watch it. Just being honest.
Guys want to watch anything that got females involved, man. What we talking about?
My 9-year-old watches this girl. The girl looks like Kim Kardashian to me. Face made up and all that stuff. Big lips, look fake. He watches her. So I asked him, I said, hey, do you think she's cute? He said, no. I said, well, I always see you watching her. Like, he watches these other two guys play games, which I don't understand how this generation, they'll watch people play games. Like a whole 3 hours nonstop watching them play. I don't understand.
I started in college, bro. Started in college. God of War.
Anyways, I asked him, like, yo, do you think she's cute? And he's like, no, I don't. I said, well, you watch her a lot. But it adds to that, because I'm going to be honest with you, probably all her subscribers are men. Just looking at her and what she does, because she plays games. She does commentary on different things, and she does the funny stuff where she'll add memes and different things in there, and people will get excited about it. But she gets her views from men, pretty much. Most of her content is based upon men watching her, and they're attracted to her. That's the only thing I could see. So it just putting Unk in that place, I can understand what he's going through, because this is something that we go through right now. My 9-year-old does it right now. He just doesn't realize that's why he's doing it. He just don't realize it yet. So it's funny just watching that similarity, the parallel between both worlds.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Unk. Shout out to the 9-year-old man holding it down. Tell him he need to be recording himself playing games out here, man. But get on that. But and last thing we'll say, and then I'm gonna move on, is that definitely people gotta understand YouTube is not a fly by night thing. This is people grind. Like that woman, regardless of his men watching her or not, she has to consistently, keyword consistently, put in the work and have things out to where she will spend. You don't know what people do behind the scenes. And I think, shout out to Think Media that's on YouTube, and Sean, I forgot his last name, but he definitely talks about that. Like, before he had his group of people, he was grinding all day, every day. And I just think about us, like when we do audio and we talking about editing content and things of that nature. Like, shout out to all the YouTubers, shout out to all the content creators who put in that work. And even for those who have 150 episodes or 200, 300 episodes, but they only have like 100 subscribers or 1,200 subscribers. Like, we see y'all, we appreciate y'all, and again, we're gonna just keep this thing moving because sooner or later, it's something gonna break, as Mr. Refine says, because you are yourself and because you keep it consistent. Let's move on to episode 4, the final episode. Okay, let's talk about this, man. We got Fujimiya. I mean, Fujimiya, and her craziness. Because I'm trying to see what this damn thing says because I wrote too many things. Oh yeah, Fujimiya friend zone forever. Elf girl, aka Tsundere, won't quit. Unk's Sega life lessons and the power of the liquor, not liquor, liquor. Okay, as black people say, man. Let's talk about episode 4.
Yo, so again, I'm just keep touching on this scene where she's in the shower and comes out, etc. And you have Takafumi seeing her. So that is the base of that episode for me. That's what it's about. Because as you refer to Bastard, I don't know if you watched it. I didn't watch the whole season.
I ain't watched it yet.
I watched it. It takes from heavy metal. Side thing, but it's a lot of sexual stuff in there, and it's not like they not subtle with it. They blatant, like they're showing stuff where you're perceiving it to be something, but it might not be sex, but it's appearing to be just what it is. It's funny as hell. So in this thing, you see Takafumi liking what he sees with Fujimiya. He likes that. Now he's trying to friend zone her, and she doesn't want to be friend zoned. Which guys most of the time are the ones who are getting friend zoned. And they're like, I don't want to be friend zoned. He's trying to friend zone her, so that's kind of funny because she's still putting herself out there. She's still around, and I've been trying to figure out why. I don't remember the motive, why she's around in the first place. Like, what is she doing hanging around besides them being friends? But she's at the house heavy. Why?
Yeah, well, they when they bump into each other, she just doesn't like Unk. She thinks he's a creeper and he's just like this delusional loser. So she really is trying to get closer to Takafumi. And even Unk is the one that mentioned, she should move in, and she's just trying to play a role, man. She's trying to be that. She's trying to be the one. You know what I mean? She's trying.
Yeah, but again, like her saying that she thought he was a creep. She watched him and stuff like that. I'm still not understanding, minus the fact that she likes him, why she would be giving him so much time.
I got you.
That's just all I'm saying.
But that's a stereotypical aspect of a isekai or love romance where the woman is chasing the guy so heavily, and that's really what it is. She just she has a perception of this love that they had as kids. It's not a reality, but she still wants to be with Takafumi because she's been liking Takafumi from day one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I can see that.
She T-Pain sprung out here, man.
Definitely, I can see that. Now, as far as Unk and his Sega stuff, Unk ain't giving up with that. The bad part is he has to again stay compromising and being tsundere while he's doing this. He's getting them the bags, getting them the money, and at the same time, he still gets to, beneath that all, be himself because he's still enjoying playing Sega. He's still enjoying having these nostalgic moments of playing and being himself and kicking butt and doing whatever he does. He just has to compromise the external appearance of everything, but he's still himself beneath it all. So I don't believe there's anything happening with that aspect. Now the liquor thing, that's funny because what's her name just turned 20. So again, I'm gonna say Takafumi is 20 as well. I don't know what the legal drinking age is in Japan. I'm gonna assume probably 17 and 19 because of overseas. They're only here in Western world we have this. You got to be 21 and all this stuff. Overseas, that's incorporated into their daily life of drinking when you're eating a meal, small glass of wine, etc. Kids get that 5, 6 years old. They start getting introduced to that. So that's nothing new. So I'm going to assume they really don't have a drinking age over there in Japan, maybe 17 to 19. But they're drinking these 3.9% wine coolers, in my opinion. Peach joints, and I can't remember the other 2 flavors they had.
Yep.
They were all there, rosy cheek, just having a good time, man. And I thought it was funny. And I don't remember how the episode ended.
Got you, man. Well, I'm gonna tell you, brother.
Yeah, you gotta tell me.
But episode 3 and 4, man, that's I'm gonna say that's the most action. Shout out, I mean, Takafumi and Fujimiya, they literally have a soap. I mean, Unk has became their soap opera, or their Game of Thrones or whatever it is. He has become that by his memories and watching it, and like shot and the elf girl, like I don't think that was episode 3. I don't think it was 4, but episode 3 were literally Unk and the elf girl our elf woman are in the town that has a force field around it, and he literally shatters the force field because everybody's like, "Oh, this force field is so strong," and he just breaks it for no. And I'm like, for no reason though. Like everybody, even the elf woman, Tsundere,
whatever the hell.
yeah, Tsundere, even her says like this force field helps keep all the monsters away, and literally, Unk just shatters it for no reason, and then you get all the Cyclops, all the Titans, because that was exactly what that was. And then you literally get this cloud dragon or smoke dragon or something like that. And I'm like, oh, it's about to go down. And literally, like, that was probably my favorite part of the episode because Tsundere, or the elf woman, she literally armors up though. Yep. And I'm like, oh, this is going down. And she says, like, she's pretty much about to be like, I don't know if she's about to die or she's just about to go in there and fight like crazy and go beast mode on it. But she literally powers up, and Uncle's looking at her. I'm loving the moment, bro. Like, I'm like, oh, this is about to go down. She really about to show him that she can handle it. And he puts the force field right back up, and she gets smacked in the face, bro. Like, all that breaks her arm. I mean, not break her armor, but the armor gets taken off, and it's crazy. And they're watching this, and Unk's whole thing is like, don't in episode 4 when they're watching the replay of his memories, don't telling Tsundere, please don't tell everybody that I broke the force field and put it back up. And on top of that, this man, she's like, oh, you owe me dinner. She comes in her nice dress, like she on the Fujimiya hype, man. She out there like, we about to, it's going down. And literally, this man he's been drinking and eating, but he can't hold his liquor. And he literally is talking to her, telling her, come to the room. And like, this is not the only time Unk has put her in a position where she's been getting hot. And then he just downplays it by literally saying, thank you for walking me to the room, and closes the door on her. Like, I'm like, Unk is a beast. And then with Takafumi and them towards the end, it was pretty much the main thing is that they saw this stuff about Unk. They saw all these things about Unk, and they really didn't. They just was like, they were astonished and they were upset because they was like, man, how do you keep treating this woman like that, even though Takafumi is doing the same thing to Fujimiya? And I'm just like, bro, what are you talking about? You like, you mad at Unk because you want Unk to score, or you want Unk to find this woman, but you don't even you don't even say the same thing with Fujimiya. So it's like they're very similar people, except that Takafumi and mentally he's more adult than Unk is, because Unk is still stuck back in that past, even though Unk does show signs that he is more mature, because he could easily see that Fujimiya likes Takafumi, and Takafumi wasn't even paying attention to it. But the ending of the episode is like, Unk is like, I can't, he's not really, he saw them drinking, and I forgot what they were celebrating. And I can't dismiss the fact that Unk comes in there ready for war on episode 3, going into episode 4, when Takafumi puts the flag upside down and low mass, and he comes in there like thinking that it's an invasion about to kill everybody. But from all of that and all the watching the shows, Takafumi has him play Sega Saturn and Guardian Heroes again. He literally pretty much the show. It's a show within a show. That's what's so funny about this show. It's a show within a show, dry humor, like everything in it. And Unk takes a sip of liquor and he goes crazy and flies everybody up and just creates this windstorm, like he did that time with the lightning, which I forgot to talk about that too. On episode 2, when Unk found out that Guardian Heroes placed 197th on the Sega Saturn magazine. You remember back in those days where you had the Sega or the game Nintendo magazines that told you what games ranked whatever. This man literally creates a lightning thunderstorm, not even lightning, it's lightning and thunder.
Pissed off,
man. And he did the same thing. He said, I can't control my powers when I drink, I can't control my liquor, and it ended like that, man, and it was a
I
beautiful
remember
time.
that now.
Yeah, it was a beautiful time. So
He's extremely powerful too, and he's very humble about it. He
yeah,
doesn't, like I said, he's very indifferent and humble. He doesn't realize the abilities that he has. That's why he was able to break the shield, put it back up like it's nothing, kill that flame dragon like it's nothing, do this lightning storm, windstorm, all that stuff, and he has no hesitation. So when he popped up there when the flag was up, he came in ready for war. He
mm,
definitely was ready to do some damage. So I want to see him actively engage with somebody current day, and definitely I would love to see Sundari come in, and I want to see what he does if they're in his world.
that's a fact, and that just ties into the last one. What do you want to see in episode 5? You already said it, but go ahead
But
and
yeah, I really want to see more development between Sundari and Ankh, because I honestly think that before he came back, there was a different sort of relationship that happened. They're trying to kind of play it down. They might not show any sex, but they'll show some sort of subtle nudity. I believe that he something happened between them two. And maybe, just maybe, he was there for 17 years. Maybe they might even have had kids. You're only seeing the first couple, probably the first year or two of the time frame that he's there. We don't know what relationship developed between Sandir and Unk and whoever else he was around after that, and even the Ice Clan girl Mabel. We don't know what happened
Mabel.
with that. Like, he had two different women he can choose from because he owed Sandiri from saving him back when he was trying to kill him. And then Mabel,
Oh yeah, I
he
forgot
kind of
about
just
that too.
stumbled into that. So I want to see what happens moving forward. And definitely Takafumi, I want to see if him and Fujimiya hit it off. And I think they will, because she's around so much that I think he's going to take her out that friend zone. He see her in the shower again. He's a man. He's going to do what a man does. You're going to be like, hey, I want to get in there.
Hey, and then I forgot about that in episode 4, where they discussed where the Tsundere, or the elf woman, talked about when she actually first met Unk, or Orc Face. Um, it was with the Venom Dragon that she was about to get killed from. Even though on the end of episode 4, and as I remember too, before they cut it off, before they took a drink and his memories, she literally followed him to this maze where it's a lot of poisonous animals. I mean, snakes and all this stuff like that, poison monsters, but she has this the pendant on her head, around her head, that head necklace, literally can help you, can block your memory, which I think is fire. And then well, on top of her armor, which is fire, and all the elves, and no matter what show you watch, they are master craftsmen, they're master
Armorers.
alchemists. Like they just know how to do things. So I thought that was cool. But for episode 5, I mean, Unk does show it a little bit in his memory before he starts showing his actual memory, is when he thinks about all the people in his life. So there's already, I think there's 2 more women. One of them is like a holy one that is probably going to show up sooner or later. There's a dude or 2 in there too. So it's almost like a band of people that he smiled about, but I know reality is that he kind of was like the loner and probably didn't even join them. He probably just walked into that. So I'm really looking forward to those memories, but I do want more on the real world and Unk's trial and tribulation out of YouTube. But they don't really have to do that as well. I just would like that in depth so we can know more about whatever character. But you just think about One Punch Man, and like they don't go too deep outside of the fact that like he used to get bullied by monsters and everybody, and then he started doing hella push-ups, and then everything about him is just eating food, trying to pay rent, and fighting monsters. Like that's really what it is. So I'm loving the show, and I can't wait for episode 5, which comes out. I thought this week it came out, but it comes out
No,
next
it's
week.
next week.
So I thought it was every week, but it seems like it's every other week,
Mm-hmm.
which is good in the sense that they make you watch. But with the way Netflix stocks are going, and I don't know who's going to buy them out, I hope that the creators of this really talk with Netflix, and maybe you got to do it, make it weekly, or every 2 days or something, because I believe they definitely have the whole season, if
Yeah.
not more, already completed. Just because it just seems like they do. But this has been again, this show is amazing. Episode, another episode in the books for us. And if you're not watching Unk from Another World, I don't know what to tell you. Some other things we missed. It's some more nuances that we probably could have went in depth with. But again, we're talking about uh, we're talking about 3 episodes back to back to back. So I just didn't want to go too heavy in it. But Mr. Refine, as usual, man, it's always been a pleasure. And if you don't know, you can find us everywhere, YouTube, all that. You just, just go Black Nerd Fridays, or just tell us to send you the link. Hit us up, DM us on Instagram, hit us up on Twitch. The Twitter, I think we got that set up, but let's get it going.
Make sure y'all leave some comments in there, man. We like to hear, feedback on what we're talking about.
Come on, man.
Criticism
is key.
Exactly.
Well, we'll check y'all out on the next episode of Black Nerd Fridays.
Peace.